Hope. Hope is one of the most powerful, beautiful forces in human nature. It keeps us moving forward through adversity, lighting a path through the darkest of times. Hope whispers that things can get better, that change is possible, and that tomorrow holds the promise of something brighter. In many cases, hope is a lifeline, and that is a beautiful thing. But, like any powerful tool, hope can be manipulated and weaponized, especially in toxic or narcissistic relationships. And that's what we're going to talk about today. At its best, hope fuels resilience and optimism. It gives people the strength to endure hardships and the courage to strive for a better future. However, in the context of toxic relationships, hope can transform into a double edged sword. When it's wielded as a weapon by narcissistic partners, as it often is, hope keeps victims tethered to cycles of abuse and manipulation. In these relationships, hope often takes the form of believing that the other person will change, that things will go back to the good times, or that love can overcome any obstacle. Unfortunately, this distorted version of hope blinds victims to the reality of their situation and prolongs their suffering, and can even be dangerous, both psychologically and physically. So, how exactly does hope become a weapon? Narcissistic individuals excel at using hope to maintain control over their partners. They create this illusion of potential transformation, which keeps their victims invested in the relationship despite ongoing harm. Here are several ways that narcissists weaponize hope. First, there's the intermittent reinforcement of love. Narcissists often oscillate between periods of affection and periods of cruelty, creating a cycle of intermittent reinforcement. During the honeymoon phases, they may shower their partners with love, attention, and promises of change. These moments of tenderness reignite the hope that was there initially, which convinces the victim that the relationship can be salvaged. But as soon as the victim lets their guard down, the narcissist returns to their abusive patterns. This inconsistency keeps the victim perpetually chasing the next moment of kindness, much like a gambler chasing a win in a slot machine. The unpredictable rewards of hope ensure the victim remains hooked. Number two, future faking. Narcissists are masters of future faking, making grand promises about a better future that they never intend to fulfill. They might say things like, "Once I get this promotion, everything will be different." Or, "Let's plan that dream vacation. It'll bring us closer together." These promises dangle the possibility of happiness just out of reach, compelling the victim to stay and wait for the better days that never arrive. Number three, exploiting empathy and loyalty. Many victims of narcissistic abuse are naturally empathetic and loyal, making them the ideal targets. Narcissists exploit these traits by playing on their partner's sense of responsibility and hope for redemption. They may present themselves as deeply wounded individuals who just need love and support to heal, creating a narrative that the victim's persistence and patience will eventually save them. This tactic not only manipulates the victim into staying, but also reinforces their belief that leaving would mean abandoning someone in need, a betrayal of their own values and incredibly painful to an empath. Number four, gaslighting hope. Narcissists often gaslight their victims into doubting their perceptions of reality. When the victim begins to question the relationship, the narcissist might say, "You're just being negative," or "Why can't you focus on all the good things I do?" This reframing shifts the focus back onto the victim's perceived shortcomings and reawakens hope by suggesting that the problems are fixable if only the victim tries harder. As we touched on before, this hope can be very devastating psychologically and physically. Weaponized hope can have devastating effects on a person's mental and emotional well-being, because it creates a perpetual state of cognitive dissonance, where the victim's desire to believe in a better future clashes with the painful reality of their circumstances. This internal conflict leads to self-blame. When the promised change never materializes, victims often blame themselves rather than the narcissist. They think, "If I just did more, tried harder, loved better, things would improve." This self-blame erodes self-esteem and strengthens the narcissist's control. Then there's the emotional exhaustion, which we've all experienced. Clinging to hope in a toxic relationship is emotionally draining. Victims invest enormous amounts of energy into maintaining the illusion of potential happiness. which leaves them depleted and less capable of making decisions to protect themselves, which leads to increased dependency. The cycle of intermittent reinforcement deepens the victim's dependency on the narcissist. Each fleeting moment of hope becomes a lifeline, making the idea of leaving seem even more terrifying and impossible. It is a vicious cycle, and the longer it goes on, the harder it gets to leave. Harder, but not impossible. Recognizing the ways that hope is being weaponized is the first step toward breaking free from a toxic or narcissistic relationship. Here are a couple strategies to regain clarity and reclaim your personal power. Number one, acknowledge the reality. Victims need to confront the truth about their situation. This means letting go of the illusion that the narcissist will change and accepting that the good times are just a part of the manipulation. They're not real. Journaling, therapy, or confiding in trusted friends can help bring clarity. Number two, you need to set boundaries. Establishing firm boundaries is crucial. This may involve limiting contact with the narcissist, refusing to engage in their manipulative behaviors, or seeking physical separation. Boundaries signal a shift in power, and they protect the victim's emotional well-being. Number three, focus on your self-healing. Breaking free from weaponized hope requires rebuilding self-esteem and self-worth. Engaging in activities that bring you joy, practicing self-compassion, and seeking therapy can help victims reconnect with their inner strength. Seek support. Isolation often perpetuates the cycle of abuse. Victims should reach out to support networks, whether that's through friends, through family, or professional organizations specializing in domestic abuse or narcissistic relationships. Having allies can make the path to freedom less daunting. Finally, educate yourself. Understanding the tactics of narcissistic abuse can empower victims to see through the manipulation. Books, articles, and support groups can provide valuable insights and validation. There are some listed at the end of this video. While hope can be weaponized in toxic relationships, it can also be a tool for liberation when it's directed inward. Instead of hoping for the narcissist to change, victims can cultivate hope for their own future, one free of manipulation, filled with self-love, and rich with possibilities. Reclaiming hope in this way shifts the focus from the narcissist's potential to the victim's agency and strength. It's about embracing the belief that life can be better, not because someone else will change, but because they have the power to create that change for themselves. Hope is a beautiful, powerful thing, but it's not always benign. In the hands of a narcissist, hope becomes a tool of control, trapping victims in cycles of abuse. Recognizing this dynamic is essential for breaking free and for reclaiming a life of autonomy and joy. If you're struggling in a toxic or narcissistic relationship, remember this. Real hope doesn't ask you to sacrifice your well-being or to endure endless pain. True hope empowers you to seek happiness and fulfillment on your own terms. By redirecting hope toward yourself, you can break free from the chains of manipulation and rediscover the light within.